Alright guys, what's going on? TheAireaidLord's back for another Walking Dead vlog, another cooperative Walking Dead vlog. I felt like since we're kicking off Walking Dead season in a way, between the season 10 finale, the premiere of World Beyond, and then season 6 of Fear the Walking Dead, which obviously I have my strong opinions of. But nonetheless, The Walking Dead is back in some form, and I wanted to kick it off with somebody who I made a vlog with way back when the season 10 finale was supposed to come out, which was that second week in April of 2020. But here we are, 4 or 5 months later, and we are finally about to see it. So, um, we've got the Walking Dead World. Is that correct? Your Twitter handle here?
Yep. Yep.
Awesome.
That's great.
Um, how have you been doing, sir?
I've been just kind of in a day by day pandemic. It's really can do
Yeah, these are definitely.
until through all this.
Yep. Yeah, these are definitely interesting times for all of us, no doubt about that. Well, we wanted
hmm
to get together for this co-op to a video to just talk about some of the directions that the show is going, like I guess the universe, not even just the show. I mean, I'd say the Walking Dead universe as a whole. That includes spin-offs, Fear the Walking Dead, the movies. I mean, this is gonna. I mean, they should have their own amusement park at some point with all the stuff that they have coming out. I mean, I don't know. It depends how much interest there really is for the Walking Dead after they do all of this stuff. I mean, they're pumping out, and I guess we'll bring this up at some point, but this is kind of stuff that maybe they should have capitalized on, like during the show's fifth season, when like you were bringing in like 14 million viewers for that premiere episode of No Sanctuary, and like
Yeah.
towards the end of the 10th, I mean, this is the penultimate season before you get to season 11. Now they're starting to ramp it up when they know that they're going to be bereaved of some content because you're not going to have the show as we knew it soon enough. I guess I'll get your first reactions to that. What did you initially think when they announced that season 11 was going to be the final one?
So I was shocked, but also not like super shocked. I didn't really expect them to make like an announcement that it would be ending this soon. Because I kind of expected the show to go on maybe like two or three more seasons, get us to like season 13. I definitely didn't expect it to end with season 11, and I didn't think they'd announce that now. Um, so I was shocked, but I was also like, I knew that we were sort of moving towards the end of the show as a whole. Um, and I was honestly really relieved when they actually announced it because we at least have like an end date now. We have something to build towards instead of just kind of wondering like how long the show is going to go on. Is it just going to like go on forever and just continue to like lose the cast year by year, or So I was relieved that they finally like announced that. It was really surreal to actually like see the news that the show is actually ending. But yeah, it was kind of mixed feelings.
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised. I guess to counter that, I wasn't too surprised that season 11 was announced as the last season because the Commonwealth is the last bit of information that the comics touches upon, right? And so I assumed that 11 would touch upon that. I was really thinking season 12. My overall gut prediction was 12, and with the extended number of episodes the season 11 has, it's kind of like a season 12. I did the math in one of my previous videos. I actually did the math on this, and it comes to a season 12 mid-season finale. Like it's like episode 8 of season
Yeah.
12. If you were to like contextualize that a normal season would get 16 episodes and then they added an additional number to give it this big epic
hmm
grand finale. But really, I mean, you're getting 12 and a half seasons, or I guess
Yeah.
11 and a half technically seasons of the show. So it kind of ended around the mark that I thought, and I also didn't really know like how they were going to go beyond the comic. Like most people thought like, oh, maybe the show's just going to keep go beyond the Commonwealth and maybe it'll sync up with the Rick movies. And I feel like I can't help but feel like some of these decisions were made because of the pandemic situation of what they can and can't film right now.
Oh yeah.
I would say that's a high possibility because I keep seeing articles. I don't know if you've seen these, but these articles kind of they piss me off a little bit where they talk about the movies, the Rick Grimes movies, and they're like, "Oh, all the extra time in the pandemic has made these movies a lot better. The writers and I have made the script tight and the movie's looking great." It's like you haven't filmed 1 ounce of footage, and they keep saying these are the tightest scripts, and Scott Gimple is like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be so amazing." It's like, okay, until I see it, I'm not really gonna,
Yeah.
taking Scott Gimple's word for it is not the wisest, the wisest move these
No.
days.
Yeah.
So where do you think like the direction with the movies? Like, what is your opinion of that right now?
I honestly, I still, in the back of my head, I just feel like not going to happen for some reason. It's been almost 2 years since, Rick left the show and the movies were announced, and we've gotten pretty much no information. They've sprinkled like little tiny little details in the show and through Fear, and we're going to get some more information in World Beyond, but we really like still know pretty much nothing. And I just feel like, they came out saying it was going to be a whole trilogy and that they're going to be in theaters and they're going to be like really big budget movies. But the long it's the longer it's been since they've announced that, and the whole pandemic and everything, I just feel like the interest in 3 movies that are still probably years away, I just feel like the interest isn't what it would have been a couple of years ago. Even like just when Rick left the show. So I'm not really fully confident that there's going to be a full trilogy. I definitely think there'll be at least 1 movie, and they'll kind of see from there what they want to do with it. I feel like they're not completely as planned out as been led to believe. It still kind of feels like they're making up a lot of it as they go, which is kind of frustrating because we've been waiting for part of the franchise, right? It really feels like it could just kind of like fall apart before it's ever made.
Right, and if they really wanted to put those movies out, kind of like what you said, the interest has died down. They should have capitalized on this in 2019. Like, I'm sorry, they should have had a direct lead in because you had Rick leaving the show, which was really big, and they definitely there was no open-endedness about him, surviving or not. Like he clearly was saved by Jadis and clearly was taken away in that helicopter, and she said, they're gonna save you and blah 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 blah. And also, this most recent season of The Walking Dead, as many people predicted, Michonne is going off to find him. Like, found evidence is going off to find him. Like, that was my big, when they said that Denai Guerra was leaving the show and Michonne's character was going to be written off, that was my big prediction. I was like, oh, she's probably going to find evidence of Rick, and then she's going to go leave. Then she's going to go leave to find him, and then she'll be in one of the movies, either the first movie or the second movie. Yeah, and that's why it's been kind of hard, just speaking of my channel a little bit, because a lot of the stuff that I do is reaction videos to The Walking Dead, or I'm covering the news that's going on and different stuff. But because of the pandemic, like, there hasn't been as much news to necessarily cover. Like, I'm seeing so much of the same thing. Like, I'm just seeing like all these promises, like, oh, we're gonna show you this extra footage or the movie, like kind of like I was saying about the movies, right? Like, the movies are going to be so great when they come out. It's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't foresee those movies coming out until 2022, like you said. And now with
Yeah.
how much the Hollywood has been delayed in terms of filming anything. I mean, you think of shows like, I was looking forward to Stranger Things season 4, and that looks like that's going to get, like, shows that we're trying to get into a next season, or pilots that were trying to get up off the ground. Like they have to kind of wait and as to when they can get up off the ground and air.
Yeah, yeah. And see, that's kind of like why I thought it was so strange when they announced the Daryl and Carol spinoff, because it kind of felt like that announcement when they made the Rick movie announcement. It's so far off still, and so much could change between now and then, and you don't know what kind of interest there'll be, 2 years from now and something like that. So it just feels like they make these like big announcements that feel like I mean a Daryl and Carol spinoff, like that's a big deal, but it just doesn't. It's kind of hard to visualize right now when it's so far away, and they haven't really followed through on some of the things that they've previously announced. So they go about announcing things in a really kind of strange way, I feel.
Yeah, dude, I don't know if you heard this, the finale, I guess that was the first the actors had heard that the show was ending with season 11. The announcement that was made publicly to everybody, they were told along with the public. Like there was
Yeah,
no secret behind the scenes, hey guys, look, we've worked on the show for a long time. Some of you are newer than others, but this is going to be wrapping up in T minus. And the thing is, it doesn't feel like too much of the end because this is going to be laid out over the course of 2 years, right?
yeah,
And so it
yeah,
doesn't feel like it's ending like next week per se. Like I still got 2 years of The Walking Dead to salivate over,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And that's kind of like when I first heard the news, I wasn't like really sad or anything, because I was like, well, we still have 2 full years of this. We still have like 30 something episodes. We still have a million different spin-offs that are going to happen. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 years with what kind of announcements they're going to make. Um, so I was like, we still have so much time before it's even going to end, that it's just so hard to picture like the actual end when it's so far off.
And so the other announcement I guess that they made is so they revealed the nature of what these extra episodes are going to be, right? Remember they said that in the spring they're going to be giving us like these bonus episodes of season 10 to kind of quell our like tame our palate, and because
Yeah,
they're playing catch up with filming. And so I guess it's going to talk a little bit about like the post Whisperer stuff, but then also stuff with Maggie. So the episode, so this is a direct quote from Angela King. The episodes are all designed to be filmed safely during this pandemic. There's sort of an anthological feel to some of them. They're going to do deep dives in some of our characters, which I hope people enjoy. Oh, and then she says, yeah, we're going to deal with some of the aftermath of the Whisper War. And obviously, Maggie's back, and she has this mysterious companion in a metal mask. And who is that? And what does that mean? And where did they come from? We kind of start the story from there. So, I guess what are your impressions of that? And I guess she kind of confirmed that ninja guy is Maggie's companion, almost like a guardian, almost like a bodyguard in the apocalypse for
yeah,
Maggie. And so I guess this is gonna. I mean, but that's important. We want to know where the hell Maggie's been because she's been away for however long she has been away and hasn't seen anything that's gone on with the Whisperers and their destruction. And she's coming back to a very different situation that she left. So I guess that is important for context so that when we fire up season 11, she can become fully a part of things. But I guess what are your initial impressions of that description? Because that's the first I'm hearing of it.
yeah. I was a little surprised she said the thing about the mysterious like survivor being a companion of Maggie's, because that kind of feels like a spoiler, especially since I guess we're gonna see that in the finale, which is so soon now. Something I thought was the case at all. I thought that was a completely new character that had no connection to anyone. So I'm excited to see. I think it's a smart idea to do Maggie's story, because that's another one of those things that I feel like they started off so long ago. Like they introduced Georgie, the character of Georgie, I think it was 2 years ago. It was in season 8. And then they told us, Maggie went off to be with her and start a community. And then we still don't really know like anything about that group at all. And it's been so long. So I definitely think that story needs to be told somewhere. And I think these bonus episodes, whether they do like one or a few on her, would be really good. But I think I've been thinking about this since Angela Kang said that. And what I'm kind of picturing is similar to what they did at the very beginning of season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead, which was they picked up with Morgan, which was a strange choice, but they were crossing him over from Walking Dead to Fear. And they picked up a couple of months after, it was either a couple of weeks or a couple of months after All Out War ended. And Morgan was living in the junkyard, and Rick, Carol, and Jesus came and visited him and tried to get him to come back to like Alexandria. And that was kind of like, it was kind of like a small period of time that we got to see those characters that really didn't impact like the story at all, but it was just kind of like a look at a small period of time in between like seasons. So that's kind of what I'm thinking it'll be. I don't think it'll be anything like, I don't think the episodes will be anything like huge, like monumental or anything. It'll just sort of be like a way to bridge the gap between seasons and kind of tell like maybe like little, not filler, but sort of like side stories, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what you said about Morgan, that's kind of where my mind jumped to. I mean, if you think about it, Rick had a brief crossover in Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Is he gonna be in everything? I mean, and I wouldn't doubt that when we see World Beyond and they have that 2-season limited run, that at the season 2 finale, when the whole thing wraps up, we see Rick in like the hospital bed, or they're experimenting on him, or I don't know, it's like super conscious zombie Rick or something with like video game powers or something. I don't know, but I feel like, but that's what I feel like the I guess to shift a little bit, I feel like that's what the purpose of World Beyond is. I mean, yeah, we're going to see the story of these teenagers. I mean, I've been dubbing it Stranger Things meets The Walking Dead. But I mean, I'm legitimately interested because it's something new, because Fear the Walking Dead, I don't feel, I mean, this is just how I felt watching 5.5 seasons of it, but I just feel like it doesn't have much of a direction. It just, especially that first half of season 5, man. Holy shit! Like like the fucking plane and the radiation, and like I don't know what they were doing, and like now, what they're trying to do. I guess we'll discuss that later on, but that was the problem with Fear. I felt like it was The Walking Dead 2.0, and I've said this in a couple different vlogs, that I felt like it was The Walking Dead 2.0 with characters that we didn't care as much about. And it just didn't have an overall purpose. It wasn't going off of, and maybe this is because it wasn't relying on Robert Kirkman's comics, but at the same time, you should have a competent team of writers that are kind of driving the story in a general direction. It didn't make sense what ultimate end they were kind of leading the show towards. And to my knowledge, I don't think Fear the Walking Dead has been given an end date. I mean, the Walking Dead is ending before Fear the Walking Dead's ending. How is that possible? I don't understand how that is. But the good thing about World Beyond is that it's only 2 seasons, which it's good because now they have a limited scope of time to tell their story, and B, it's dealing with a different premise. It's not just people who were living a normal life who are now plunged into the apocalypse, because again, that's what Fear was. It was the same thing. It was, the show was touted as something different. It was like, back when it was originally pitched, it was like, before the apocalypse, here is the world, as it is, and then the world plunging into kind of chaos. But that they took that element away 4 or 5. By the end of season 1, it was back to The Walking Dead. It's like, now the world's already plunged into the world that we've dealt with for 8-9 seasons in the original show, whatever. And so I just didn't have any interest in that. But World Beyond, and I think that it's going to lead into the Rick Grimes movies, and B, it deals with kids who have already been growing up in the apocalypse, and I'm interested in seeing the governmental structure of the CRM. Like, we've seen this like lieutenant with the three circles and those soldiers with the masks, and I'm just really interested to kind of see how everything. I'm just like, I don't know what they're up to. Like, I can't make heads or tails. That's the biggest mystery of the movies, and so half because it deals with Rick, and then half because we get to see these new characters that I hope they did a good job building up. So I don't know what your hype level is for World Beyond, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm actually like really excited about it. I was really kind of hesitant when they first announced it like 2 years ago. But now that we've seen like trailers and they've kind of been hyping it up, I'm honestly really excited just because the look of it is honestly different from anything I've seen in this franchise. I remember the first trailer dropped, I think it was about a year ago, and they showed the community that the characters lived in, which is part of the CRM. And it's this like fully functioning college, and it looks like a normal like society. And I think I've always thought that was like an interesting thing to explore. That's why I love the Alexandria storyline when they first got to Alexandria and kind of had like that culture shock. So I'm excited to see like that normal society of the community, and then see the characters leave that and go on like a journey. Because what I'm hearing is that it's kind of like a road trip type of story where we see the characters on the road going to just like travel basically. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited for the characters too because I what I've seen from them, I like them so far. But definitely, I think the biggest appeal, the thing that everyone's most excited about is, seeing if we get any kind of clues about Rick, seeing what we learn about the CRM, because it seems like it's going to be a really big part of the show. And some of the actors have even teased that they know where Rick is. So I think you're right about the show ending and leading into the Rick movies. I've heard people kind of speculating that Rick might be in the final episode, and I think that would be like insanely cool. I think that would be like the perfect way to kind of finish his story off and move forward with the movies.
The final episode of World or the final episode of the show?
Final episode of World Beyond.
Oh, okay.
Just sort of like as a way to, because there's been like some people saying some of the characters from World Beyond will maybe appear in the movies. I've heard even like Isabel, the character that belongs to the CRM that we met in Fear the Walking Dead, could maybe appear in the movies. So I like that sort of, that group is kind of what ties together all three of the shows, and I like that it's Rick that is sort of the big mystery at the center of all that, how he kind of is connected to all three of the shows now. Because this is kind of like the current first phase of the Walking Dead universe. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
I think it's the mystery and intrigue. Like I've made many vlogs about this speculation, but I don't see how they're going to wrap things up with the movies, the show, World Beyond, Fear. Like, I can't give you my prediction for how any of those are going to wrap up. Fear the Walking Dead, World Beyond, the movies, or the show. All four.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because the comic existed in a universe where there was no fear, there was no movie. It was just a story. Yeah. And as you know, the big reason why I mean, this is a spoiler for people who haven't read the end of the comics, but the big reason that the comics ended a year ago was because Rick was killed by Sebastian, the son of Pamela Milton, who was the leader of the Commonwealth in the comics. I'm not sure if they'll change anything with the show in season 11, but that is like when he passed, and then the torch was passed to Carl. The next issue was a time jump, like 30 years in the future, and so civilization had recovered. like Eugene built like a railway system, like a railroad that connected West Coast to East Coast. Like they really were like rebuilding the entire country, and like as
Yeah.
Rick as like the almost like the George Washington of like a new America who like rebuilt society and united all of these places together. But they can't end the show like that because you still the CRM is not in the comics. This Civic
Yeah.
Republic military, and I think they're doing some devious experimentation. My guess is they're either trying to get the cure. This is the cure to the zombies, or they're trying to weaponize it. They're trying to make like some sort of super weapon from it. I lean
Yeah.
towards the latter. It just doesn't seem like they're up to any good, especially the trading stuff that they were doing with Jadis in the original show. So,
Hmm.
but that element wasn't in the comics. So, how can the show end? My question is this: how can the show end and we find satisfaction in that with season 11's finale, but knowing that the CRM, like, no, basically, no matter what they do with the Commonwealth, unless the Commonwealth is in some way related to the CRM, which I think Gimple has said they're two separate groups, I'm gonna always be wondering about the CRM because they have our main character Rick, and it seems like they're up to no good. Like they have a larger hold on different territories. Ironically, they're in Nebraska, the place Rick makes the joke about in season two. I mean, hey, it wouldn't have been so bad if they went to Nebraska after all. They
Yeah.
would have bumped into the CRM, but
Hmm.
I don't know if you agree. Just like the awe, like the Commonwealth being the final boss, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like the CRM is a much bigger threat than the
Yeah.
Commonwealth is, and so that's why like I'm gonna be blown away. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what the Commonwealth's armor looks like in the show, like that adaptation. I mean, that was the same way with Negan, with Alpha, with Beta. Seeing the comic to show, it's gonna be cool to see that. And I think they already teased it. I don't know if you saw the finale trailer to the show. Like they had
Yeah.
a brief image of the soldier. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna put that in here because I like slow mode it and I like took a
Yeah.
screenshot and it was like the fire was coming through but you could see the armor like
Yeah.
IRL like the super armor. I was like, oh shit, like okay, all right, we're definitely getting that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess your thoughts, that whole Commonwealth versus CRM debate, I guess,
Yeah. See, I've seen like people kind of joke about on Twitter like about how this sort of era of The Walking Dead is going to end, meaning like the three shows. Um, and people have kind of joked that we'll see like the characters of The Walking Dead, of Fear the Walking Dead, team up and fight against the CRM to get Rick back. I think that's cool. I don't think that's what's going to happen because it feels like the CRM storyline. It feels like that's just getting started. Like it's been part of the show, since season 8 when Rick first saw that helicopter.
Oh,
Before,
since season one when he first saw that helicopter.
that's
Remember?
true. That's true.
if,
Yeah.
like it's so weird. Like Skimple seems like a genius with by like having that helicopter planted there.
Yeah.
Like was that the CRM that he saw when he was riding the horse in Atlanta and they just got away and
Yeah.
like to this day like that's
Because
crazy.
it was never explained.
Yeah.
They never explained that.
They never and that helicopter the fucking CRM led the walkers to Herschel's farm. Remember like
Yeah.
because it would like they saw it came back.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah. But I feel like the show, like the main show, is gonna do the Commonwealth for all of season 11, and I feel like it's gonna kind of go the same direction as how the comics ended. Sort of. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of characters that aren't around anymore that are in the comics that are important, like Rick, Carl. Um, so I think they're gonna have to swap things, obviously, but I feel like that's gonna kind of end just like the comics did with some tweaks. Maybe they'll. I don't know if we'll see like heavy CRM stuff in the show anymore because I feel like they got Michonne out and they opened the door for her to go to the movies. They got Rick out. I feel like they'll kind of give conclusion to the characters there. They'll find a way to get Daryl and Carol. I don't know if they'll tie into the movies at all or if they'll just go off and do their own thing. But I think that's kind of I think main show will sort of just like get a conclusive end, and then I think the CRM will kind of linger in the background for a good long while, and the future spin-offs that they have planned. And um, I feel like it's gonna, same with Fear. I think it'll kind of linger in the background in that until the end of that. And I don't know though. It's really hard to
It's
predict.
just yeah,
There's so
it's
many different like factors
oh
going
man,
on.
it's so frustrating because like they're gonna wrap up the main show, and the biggest plot element of your main character's whereabouts and the group that took him. Because I thought they were going to address all of this CRM stuff in the show. I mean, this is back during All Out War with the Negan
Yeah,
stuff with Jadis. Because I was like, because remember, even Simon was like, "What's with the helipad in back, the
yeah.
solar panels?" Like a bunch of characters. Negan saw the helicopter. Like a bunch of characters.
Gabriel. Yeah.
Gabriel did. Like there were like Heath, if we're to believe Heath was taken, and his RV was there, and a
Yeah.
bunch of characters were taken, and like
Hmm.
it was a plot element that was there, but like they never discussed the mystery behind it, and I was like,
Yeah.
what is that? And like I was confused, and I thought like they just forgot about it, but then when they said, "Oh no, this is the group that took Rick," and blah 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 blah, and then I was like it made me satisfied with Rick's exit from the show, but like since they're just lingering with it, like what am I supposed to think now? Like
Yeah.
you're not giving me any type of conclusion, and meanwhile you're telling me the show is concluding, and oh, it looks like the Commonwealth's going to be the last arc of the show, but you still have this other plot element out there, and it seems like your other shows are addressing that. I can't tell you about fucking Fear. I mean, Fear, you got Red Eyed Morgan and freaking. Then you got, looks like Dwight and Sherry's story might get some conclusion, but I don't know. Again, I Fear the Walking Dead is throwing me for the loop. I mean, that's the only one that like what are they doing in the context of the
Yeah.
I don't want to get.
I liked what you said about it kind of lacking direction. I've always felt that since the very beginning. Even in the first season, I felt like they kind of like had a basic idea of what they wanted to do, and then they just kind of took it episode by episode, because they would rush between storylines like from episode to episode, and the pacing has always been so strange throughout the whole show. Like even in this new era of the show, it's just strange. So I feel like they've never really had direction, because it started off, the promise of it was, showing the outbreak from a new set of eyes in a city, because Walking Dead obviously was really rural in the forests and stuff, so we were seeing it in the city. And now in season 6 we're in a very rural environment in the middle of Texas. And you could show someone who's never seen either show, you could show them season 5 of Fear the Walking Dead, and I'm guessing they wouldn't be able to tell you it's a different show from Walking Dead at all. Um, so I have no clue what's going on. I have no clue what the plan is for beyond season 6, if there will be beyond a season 6 of Fear. I feel like they maybe need to like come up with some sort of ending. Maybe I think season 7 would be a good time to call it quits on that. And if they want to do any spin-offs with any of the characters, they can do that. But as of right now, it kind of feels like it's just spinning without any goal really. Even though I'm excited for season 6. This is like the first time I've been excited for a little while, because
Well, they
season
they
5 was
pulled
rough.
that trick with Morgan, like then now
Yeah,
and now you see him in the trailer, like he's like limping and like the zombies
yeah,
aren't biting him. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like,
yeah,
you give me this, you give me this gimmick so that now
yeah.
I'm like looped into the whole fucking thing, and now I
Hmm.
can't take my eyes away. But I mean, the tipping point for me, and I was doing for on my channel, I was doing reviews for. I didn't do reactions, but I did reviews for each episode of season 5 of Fear. I just stopped. It was the episode with the freaking beer balloon. I was like,
Yeah.
what is going on? I was like, what am I watching right now?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I just it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
said, spinning their wheels, no
Fear is
direction.
kind of Fear has kind of always felt like the show where they do the things that, like, the ideas that were rejected on Walking Dead, because they don't have like the comic book to follow or
Mm.
anything. So it feels like they can just kind of do what they want. And they just do like some of the most ridiculous things. There was, I think it was season three. They had like this. It was the way they filmed it looked horrible. It was a walker being hit by lightning, and I just remember it looked it looked so cheesy. So they're always doing like these weird like gimmicky, cheesy like gags that just don't work. Like the beer balloon, I hated that.
Yeah, they're like, what haven't we done in the like rejected Walking Dead ideas? We'll throw them in this fucking
Yeah,
fear show with, yeah, with this very odd cast of just meandering like Carrie. It's not even the same cast from the first season. Remember when, I forget his name. The guy who was Travis, was it?
oh, Travis, yeah.
Yeah, the guy who obviously wanted out of the show, and they just had some random dude shoot him, and he falls out of a freaking helicopter. I was like, oh, well, there you go. That's decisive. Like, he was almost starting to become the Rick of the show, and they're just like, nah, let's get rid of him. And then you had Nick, and then that actor's like, there's no direction to this show. I want off. And then they had the way that they killed him. It's like, nah, I don't really want to do. Like,
Yeah. And then you have your lead protagonist, Madison, who did not want to leave the show, but they just killed her off for some
what was
reason.
up with that, man? Like, you didn't even get to see you didn't get to see her like, to be fair, I liked the mysterious nature of the first half of season 4. And I watched the first half of season 4 because they had this different storytelling method, because Morgan was coming onto the show, Al with her big truck was coming onto the show, and then John Dory. So you had some interesting, like, kind of character gimmicks that were all merging into the show. And then there was this, like, obviously the baseball stadium fell, but you didn't know how it fell, and like I kind of liked that premise. But then the second half of season 4, that talk about spinning your wheels. It's like, oh my god, there's a hurricane. It's or like, and then we're all, I don't know. I just
Yeah. And it's for some reason these past two seasons, the second half, they really just like it's like they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to like reach the finale for some reason. They split the characters up. They have them doing like strange different like activities, and then they come together for the finale, and then it's some kind of cliffhanger. That's what's happened the past two seasons.
Yep.
And it's rough, but it's so weird because it's like the second half of season 5. It's probably my least favorite stretch of Fear so far.
I didn't even watch it. All I know is that Virginia shoots Morgan, and that's that whole. I knew the cliffhanger about whether Morgan died or not. And there's a wedding. I know there's a wedding too with Dory and the other chick that Dory.
Oh yeah, June.
Yeah, June and John Dory get married. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they try to fool you. It's like everyone's happy. There's a wedding, and then freaking Morgan gets shot, and you're like, oh my god, like, so.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I guess that's where all of the series stand as of now. And I guess to wrap up here a little bit, did you think that... I thought they were kind of spoiling when they said that there was a Daryl Carroll spinoff. Doesn't that mean they're going to live to the end and then...
Yeah.
Like...
See, that's what that's why I kind of hate that they announced that, because now it feels like if they are going to survive the whole series, it's going to kind of remove all of the tension that we have in any of their scenes at all, because we just know that they're going to make it.
Right. Who's the biggest character? Because the reason the Commonwealth arc, and let me be honest, the Commonwealth arc is one of the worst in the comics. I mean, as cool and as anticipated as it is, it wasn't too good. I'm actually going to say the same thing about the Whispers. The Whispers were handled terribly in the comics, and I think Angela Kang has geniusly turned around the storytelling. She's made it much... Oh my gosh, the Whispers in the show compared to the comics, so much more fulfilling. You actually get to seeing Alpha's backstory, and they just...
Yeah.
Like, Kirkman just rushed... I've said this so many times on my channel. He rushed through the Whispers, and once Beta's horde left, and then he was just wandering randomly by himself, and then just gets shot by Aaron, and it was just stupidly... It was anticlimactic. It was... and in the end, the Whispers... Their purpose was to get Andrea killed in the comics, and then Lydia becomes a member of the community. Like, it just... It was so
Mm-hmm.
poorly assembled, and it had a. That's the thing. It was such a cool concept that's all the premise that they needed. It's like, hey, Angela Kang, there's a really evil group of villains who wear zombie skin and want to become like animals because they think that that's a sign of why the apocalypse happened. And she's like, oh, cool, all right, I'll run with this and make it better, like much
Yeah.
better, much better. And that's what I'm hoping for with the show. But the only thing is, in the end, losing your main character in such like a WTF way. And also, to be fair, I didn't like Rick getting shot by Sebastian. Like, it just. A lot of people kind of accused Kirkman of running out of ideas. Like, he just was like, I don't know what else to do. All right, Rick gets shot randomly by this kid that everyone clearly hates, and he's a martyr, and that's how the show ends. It's like,
Yeah.
really? Like, you almost hit. And of course, he's the ultimate troll, because instead of getting to issue 200, he ends it on 193.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's that man, like, he loves to just do things differently. Like, I swear he reads every fan letter and just laughs like, ha, I'm gonna do it differently. Like he
Yeah.
just to piss people off. Like, that was the same thing with Negan. And Negan was not involved in the Commonwealth stuff in the comics at all. I hope they don't make that mistake, because honestly, you don't have too many main characters left, because we're probably going to lose a few in this finale.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, again, this goes in line with that whole CRM Commonwealth debate. Just weird decisions about how things are going to end here. Like, I mean, I'm not looking for things to end exactly. Like, if you didn't tell me that there was a Daryl Carroll spinoff, I would have predicted that Daryl was going to die at in the series finale at the end of season 11. And that would have been the way it ended.
See, that's what I've kind of always thought was, since Rick has left, I was really kind of assuming that Daryl would be the one to take Rick's death in the comics, because that, in my head, that just kind of fits. If we don't have Rick in the show, it fits to me that Daryl would be the one to die.
Who else is big enough to take that?
He's the biggest character.
Yeah.
But I have seen some like speculation that the Daryl and Carol spinoff might take place during that period that we didn't see during the time jump.
I don't think it can. If you remember, Daryl went off on his own. Remember, he was kind of like, he was a lone wanderer looking for Rick on his own, and I don't think they didn't. I don't think they can.
No, I don't either. I honestly would prefer that, because I don't like the idea of, like the story continuing beyond. I don't know. I don't really like the idea of it just being two characters. It just feels like they're extending the show with only Daryl and Carol to me. My opinion might change when we actually see it, but as of right now, it just seems kind of weird to have a spin-off show after the main show with these two characters. So I don't know. It makes everything completely hard to predict, which is probably good, because then, we'll be surprised. But it's very,
I just
very
hope it's
strange.
being surprised in a good way.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to, like, that's the thing, like, making one, like, that's why I needed the co-op aspect of this vlog, because otherwise it would have just been, like, one giant spec, because, like, it's everything they're doing. Like, the theme here is just the unpredictability, and it runs through all of the series and the movies. Yeah. And of course, this was an issue before the pandemic, and now the pandemic has fucked film schedules, so we might just have, like, logistical nightmares of them just giving us half-assed answers because they can't get stuff produced in time. And as we predicted, AMC pushed all of its spring content to the fall to fill that void, and it was a good strategy. And I think they saved face as best they could, because, I don't know if they're filming season 11 now or when they're going to start. I mean, the Spoiling Dead fans, their web... I don't know if you know, I think it was Firefly or whatever who, like, founded the website. She left, and they created a new one. So I don't see I used to be part of that community, but I think the website's defunct, and I don't know where they went currently.
Yeah.
So I'd have to look that up. But
from what I've been hearing, they're right now getting ready to film the bonus episodes. I think they'll be filming those, like, beginning in October. So it seems like they're going to film that before they even touch season 11. They'll probably start filming season 11 around May of next year, like they normally do. Um, I think they're just trying to get the episodes because filmed safely. I guess I think they're going to limit the number of characters and stuff for
Mm,
those before they have the whole cast, come back to Georgia for season 11.
right.
So that's what it seems like they're going to do. But yeah, everything's thrown off now. We've never seen something like this happen with this franchise.
Mm. Yeah, it was trying to move into a new phase, and it's being affected by outside events where
Yeah.
they're struggling a little bit, and
hmm
justifiably so. And I mean, I'm just glad. I mean, I don't know if have you ever been to the Walker Stalker cons, any of them that they ever hosted?
Yeah, I've been to three of them. Um, but I haven't been to one in like 4 years now. They were all a while ago.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had went to Walker Stalker Con Boston. That's because that's closer to where I live in 2017. I think it was the last year they did Boston, and then I wanted to meet the larger cast, so I went to the Atlanta one. It was around this time last year. It was last October. I went to it. I had never been to Atlanta. I flew down to Atlanta, and
hmm
I took a photo. Me and Jeffrey Dean, and I got Samantha Morton and Ryan Hurst signed stuff for me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, I have that. Yeah, I have a photo up on my wall. I think I got to meet Kaylee Fleming as well, who played Judith, and something tells me, and she's such a good actress. I'm imagining when she's grown up, she's probably going to be in some big roles, and I'll be able to tell people
Oh
like
yeah.
I met her when she was just a kid.
When
Uh,
she was Judith.
yeah, she was. Yeah, that was a big profile role to start.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's done now. I mean, that would be a discussion for a separate vlog. But they went defunct for reasons not related to the pandemic. Like
Yeah.
they were stealing people's money. Like yeah, that was shady.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. I heard people in person grumbling about this, and even the fact that Walker Stalker Atlanta 2019 was a lesser version of what they had in previous years, and I was like, well, I mean, I'm just glad I got to meet some of the actors. Like, despite
Yeah.
whatever is not so great right now, this is still okay, but um, so it's yeah. I mean, but it's funny because that's kind of coming. That came to an end, but the show it's also coming. The show is also kind of wrapping up in a way too, right? So like, I mean,
Yeah.
all these things are our old Walking Dead way of life is kind of slowly coming to its conclusion. But of course, Gimple's like, no, the universe will last forever. Spin-offs, and they keep. That's the thing. They want to drag out this CRM plotline so that they can keep the idea of the franchise going. That's ultimately what they want to do. Because the longer
Yeah.
we're in suspense of where the fuck Rick is, I mean, they have us. They have us, on the ropes. And my concern, I guess, to wrap up here officially, is just will Andrew? This is a final question to pose. Will Andrew Lincoln want to come back? It's been a few years. I mean, he did an indie film in Australia. I follow a freaking Instagram page that tracks his that like tracks his motions, and I'm just like curious. And it's mainly just to see if he's filming Walking Dead stuff or is doing anything Walking Dead related. But he did in 20 before the pandemic in 2019. He filmed like this Australian indie film, but beyond that, he's almost been in like a semi-retirement. So I have to imagine him and Gimple are staying in touch over the phone, but like I don't know if you. What do you think? You think
I
Andrew Lincoln's dying to
I
come back?
think I think he's definitely done with the show, like the main show. Um, I think he was ready to leave that behind because of how like taxing and just like how big of a commitment that is to film. Um, but I definitely think I think he'll always love Rick and he'll always be Rick. From what I've heard, he's very much involved in like the production side of the movies. I guess they're probably like getting input from him on what he thinks certain elements of the story should be in with his character. I've heard Kirkman is really involved too, which is interesting, and I didn't expect that.
Good.
Um,
As I mean, I
yeah,
want all of. I mean, this all started with Kirkman. I mean, if you have
yeah,
Gimple, Kirkman, and Lincoln, I mean, those are your three. That's the kind of like the three-headed Hydra in terms of being the only person that you. I could think to add who would also be a good contributor is Angela Kang, but she's kind of
yeah,
she's got her hands full wrapping up the main show. So
yeah. So I think he'll be committed to tell the story in the movies, and maybe a couple years from now see him pop up somewhere else in the universe. Um, but I think he's definitely, people are kind of holding out hope that he'll pop up in like the last episode of the main show. I don't think that'll happen. I don't think we'll see him ever again in the main show. Um, but I think it's possible that we'll see him pop up somewhere in the Walking Dead universe at some point. I don't think he's fully done.
Hmm. Yeah, it would be kind of a. I mean, your whole movie would collapse if he. I mean, because there's a question of whether Jadis will be in the movie, which I would say she
Yeah.
has to be. I mean, she's really kind of like Rick's tour guide to the freaking CRM. I would have to say. But I mean, if you don't have Rick, the whole movie collapses. He's the whole freaking
Yeah.
reason. I mean, this is him. I mean, this is him in a completely new setting, and it's almost continuing the original. If the Walking Dead show just grinded to a halt at season 9, episode 5. I mean, if you just stopped there and then picked up with Rick, you didn't do 6 year time jump. You just resumed with Rick.
Hmm.
That's what this is. It's almost like a separate show, but it's being touted as a movie. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I I I honestly think like if they wouldn't have announced that it was going to be a trilogy of movies, I feel like a mini series would have been a better choice, maybe just like a
Mm.
limited set of episodes telling his story with the CRM, having him and Jadis be the two like co-leads, having Michonne pop in there towards the end, um, maybe other characters like Morgan if they decide they wanted to cross him into that. Um, but movies are kind of like a huge commitment, huge budget, big like interest from fans. So you have to have him. You have to have him, and you have to. I just hope that they do it right and they wrap his story up in a good way, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the theme of what we're discussing here. Just making sure that they wrap this all up in a satisfying way. Because we've been given almost the initial reason for making this vlog was we were given a blueprint from Angela Kang as to where certain things are headed. We know the
Hmm.
conclusion of the show, season 11. We know there's going to be some extra episodes of season 10. We know we got the finale. We've got 2 seasons of World Beyond. We hypothetically have maybe 2 seasons left of Fear. I'm going to go with your prediction and say that season 7 is going to be the last one. That's
Yeah.
gotta be
Mm.
the last freaking one. It's gotta be.
I think they won't go beyond that because I think that's when they'll have to start renegotiating contracts and stuff, and that's gonna get like really tricky. I think that's why they're ending Walking Dead when they are, because if they go beyond that, they're gonna have to get into like the serious contract renegotiations, and that's when it gets like really, really expensive. And they're not gonna spend an insane amount of money keeping Fear going longer than they need to, I don't think, for
Right.
that reason.
Right. And
So,
so we kind of know the conclusion to a lot of this stuff, but then we also don't know the start. At the same time, we don't know when certain things begin,
hmm.
like the Rick Grimes movies is the biggest one. So there's some definitiveness, but then there's also some speculation. So I guess the theme of this vlog is to stay tuned. We'll have some of our answers this Sunday is the finale. I'll definitely tweet at you to get some of your perspectives. I'll have a
Yeah.
reaction and a review for that, trying to keep the same structure that I had back when episodes continuously came out on a normal basis. And yeah, if you have any, I don't know, if you have any closing thoughts, throw them out there.
Um, yeah, I'm excited to see what's coming up. There's a lot of Walking Dead content left. It's kind of like overwhelming to think about how much there is still like that's just about to air with the three shows, and then all the stuff that's on the horizon for years to come. And if you're a Walking Dead fan, you're even if you're not like super invested in all of the stories you're probably at least a little bit interested in what's to come. So I think it's an interesting time to be a fan. It's
Yeah.
an exciting time to be a fan, and I'm looking forward to all of it.
Well, what other show is giving this kind of dedication? What other show is And I'm going to give Scott Gimple credit for this, and I guess this will be the final point. What other show is giving fans this much reassurance and dedication of the continuation of their franchise, especially now,
Yeah,
especially during this pandemic? I mean, you think I named some shows. Stranger Things season 4, Ozark. I'm not sure if there's any other shows that you watch that the it's at risk, the future of
yeah,
it. And I mean, this is long term future. I mean, we know that season 11 will end in 2022 if everything goes as planned. And that's 2 years, and then the movies will be more. After, like, I mean, you're talking at least 3 to 4 years of reassurance that there's going
yeah,
to be more Walking Dead content and spin-offs with other characters. I still think they need to do a Here's Negan movie or
yeah.
miniseries. That would
I
be a
do too.
huge missed opportunity, because just like with the comics, Kirkman wrote that whole freaking series, literally served it to you on a silver platter. I mean, it's just begging you to be
Yeah,
adapted.
yeah.
But yeah, I can't think of any other series or show. Maybe I'm missing one that is
No.
promising. That's promising its content. That's promising a future, and that's something that's big these days. I mean, a lot of people are super uncertain about their futures. Which is either financial or personal or just sometimes entertainment. And for a series like this to kind of say, "Don't worry, we got your back." It's not going to be like old. We're not going to have a season 11 for you this fall, but we still got a lot of stuff that's in the pipeline. That means a lot. That means a lot,
Yeah,
and I'm just happy that I can make vlogs. I mean, if they didn't do this, my whole channel is Walking Dead now. Like, I can now review each episode of World Beyond and do the reaction to the finale. Like, and I haven't been
yeah,
able to do that for the whole for the spring, the summer. Like, I've just been dying to freaking cover something Walking Dead instead of. I feel like I've been talking the finale for months now. Like, okay, we have these
hmm,
images, we have these images. Like, I'm done talking about the finale. I just want to watch the freaking thing and give my opinion on it. Like, I'm
yeah,
ready for it.
yeah.
Done predicting.
Something I will always give credit to this franchise for being like this is a show and like a franchise that people watch to escape, as weird as it is with how dark it is. It's something people love to, escape into. And I have to give them credit. They have always been extremely consistent in providing that with just, the show always comes back October, obviously not this year, but it's always back in October, always back in February. Fear has always been consistent. They always have like a very positive outlook for the future of the franchise. And that's something that I think that's why fans have stuck around as long as they have, because they know that, it's a consistent thing that people can have in their lives. That's something I've always appreciated. It's been a consistent part of my life for 8 years now since I started watching it, and um, I've never had any doubts that it would, just like disappear. There's always been talk of the future and everything, and that's something people really need. And I think that's why people, even though we all criticize it, we all joke about how like sometimes it's not the best quality. It's had its rough patches. It's something that's been totally consistent through all of our lives, and that's something I think we all really appreciate.
Yeah, that's very well said. And it rationalizes, I think it rationalizes the darkness a little bit, because I think there's a lot of fear of the unknown, the fear of kind of
Hmm.
where. Yeah, cause people are having trouble rationalizing. I'll throw
Yeah,
myself in there, and I think the show is, even though the Walking Dead, I always felt was it was humans. The Walking Dead, it had a double meaning. It was humans and the walkers. Like, the walkers is the
yeah,
the physic is the literal Walking Dead, but then the Walking Dead as the people is that people were shaped by a devastating scenario, and they feel like they're dead inside, but they're still walking, and that the point of the show is for them to find their humanity in the darkest of the dark. And I think that that connects with a lot of people these days because, this is kind of really unbelievable times, and I think that the show can offer a voice in that regard. So
Definitely. Definitely.
so all right, we just in 1 second we just hit the 1 hour mark on this video. I'm pretty sure that's longer than our previous one, but you know what? It was a good discussion, and we went through a whole bunch of different things, and
Yeah.
this was a cool structure. And obviously, thanks to the Walking Dead world for accompanying me on this vlog. A pleasure as always, and hopefully it won't be another 5-6 month time jump before we do
Yeah.
another one of these collabs. And yeah, I guess the next vlog you guys will see from me is a reaction to season 10 and the finale, and then I'll also be doing a straight up review for the episode and kind of talking maybe some future about, maybe some new thoughts that I have after seeing it. And we'll kind of go from there. I don't know if you had any plugs or if you wanted to tell people. You just hit an interesting milestone on your Twitter, if you want to
Yeah.
throw that out there.
Yeah, so I just hit 30,000 followers on my Walking Dead Twitter, which is crazy to me that many people are interested in this franchise still after, 10 years. But I'm so appreciative of that. And yeah, I'll be live tweeting the season 10 finale on Sunday, and then the series premiere of World Beyond right after that. And then I'll be doing same with Fear the Walking Dead, all of season 6 and the rest of season 1 of World Beyond. So follow me if you want to see the live tweets and hang out with us on Sunday nights.
Absolutely, yep. And I'll drop your Twitter link in the description of this video so everyone has those details. And yeah, lots of fun times ahead. And I'm sure, we'll. I definitely, after. I think this is a great discussion for this vlog, just kind of, thinking back. And I think definitely. We should do some kind of follow up, maybe towards the end of the year. Maybe once all the content is done for this year, once World Beyond's first season is done, once the finale of The Walking Dead's done, maybe as we grow closer towards some more information, maybe we can give people kind of like that updated take on where things are at.
Definitely.
Cool. All right, well, it was a pleasure. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back in some capacity, either on Twitter or YouTube, but we're finally into the Walking Dead content despite the wait, and hope you guys are excited for what's to come.